You're listening to Talking Law, the podcast where business owners just like you discover how to avoid legal landmines and build value using smart legal tips.
Hi, it's Joanna Oakey here and welcome back to Talking Law, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. Now, today we have on board Fiona Yeen from Aspect Legal, who heads up our commercial division at Aspect Legal, talking all about how to deal with personal guarantees and why you shouldn't set and forget. So buckle in. This is going to be a really useful episode for you if you are involved in the management or a business owner of a business, or indeed if you advise businesses. Fiona, welcome back.
Thank you.
So Fiona, what are we talking about today? Hit us with it.
Okay, I would like to talk today about personal guarantees. Do not set and forget.
Oh, I love it. That is a really good topic, very timely. And I think we probably have a few war stories that we can throw in there. So why are we talking about this, Fiona?
Okay, we're talking about this because I had a client that just upset me. You know, sometimes you're the big hard lawyer and you can go through things and you don't care. But when a client who's had a business for 40 years that's been successful in the community, running it successfully, and then through no fault of his own, circumstances change in the area, gets bitten by personal guarantee that he entered into 40 years ago, your heart just goes out. And the simple fact is, you know, that personal guarantee probably could have been gotten rid of 35 years ago. But hadn't been set and forget. And it's one of those things whereby, you know, it's not often that, you know, being a big hard lawyer that I get my heart touched, but I wanted to make sure that other people don't fall into the same boat. So this is kind of my caring community service to everybody else, just kind of like how to use what you've got to further your business needs and protect yourself.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's such a good point. And I think this issue can come up in many different ways. So this issue can come up when, you know, when you're selling a business, if you've missed some, and if you've spent the last 30 years in business not being very good at keeping records, you know, it's really easy to miss some of this stuff. But it can also come up if the business is faced with, you know, a changing market, there's issues that occur with the business, and then suddenly you find out that there's, you know, all of these personal guarantees sitting out there that you weren't aware of. And I guess the first issue is right at the beginning when businesses are considering whether entering personal guarantees. So I guess we start right at the very beginning, don't we? So maybe if we touch on that, to start off with, the do or don't give personal guarantees, maybe we start right back there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things is don't give away your personal guarantee too easily. I once reviewed a milk supply contract for a cafe and it had personal guarantees for 15 litres of milk. And you sit there and you go, well,
wow.
Why? You know, like why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why is, you know, you've got to remember this is your livelihood. This is someone coming in and saying, I'm going to take part of your house if things go bad because you know, the things that you own that you use to keep your family safe and provided for, I'm going to take them if you don't pay my milk supply. Well, it's really disproportionate. And that's the thing. Use your personal guarantee for the things you need to. Don't get me wrong. It's something that you may need to give, but choose to use it wisely. You're giving a concession. So don't give it away like it's nothing. And know what you've given it for. Make sure you have the list.
And it's a really good point because I think many people perhaps are guilty of not reading contracts that they receive and maybe not even realising that they're signing a personal guarantee. I mean, I wonder if in your milk instance, they even realised that they were signing a personal guarantee.
No, it's amazing the number of clients that I meet along the way when we look at stuff and we go and they say, oh, I didn't even realise that was there. You know, and, you know, I mean, lawyers and and accountants are tricky people, the guarantees are hidden in quite a number of different places. But, we need to set you up with a finance application to set you up in our system, and there's a personal guarantee at the end. Just always be mindful of what you're signing, because, when you're agreeing to a contract, regardless of what type of contract it is, you need to know what you're up for.
Absolutely. And so I guess the other point when we're at the point of signature is to not necessarily feel that just because it's asked that it will be required, because I think some businesses fall into this trap of thinking that everyone else is signing it too, or thinking that it's a requirement before they've even really nutted through whether or not this is something that they could perhaps quite easily push back on. So I guess it's don't give in too quickly, don't give in too easily, be aware and push back if it doesn't work for you.
Exactly. And there's no harm in saying, hang on, this is a couple of $100 a week contract. Why do you need a personal guarantee? And then they might say, oh, well, if we set up a direct debit, we won't need it. Okay, cool. Let's do that. It's amazing the ways around it. And people get quite surprised that they just want to know there's a routine process, and then they don't want the personal guarantee. Now, that's not going to work in every circumstance, right? It's a bit different, If if your business is leasing a business premises, you may need to give a personal guarantee, but you choose and pick when you're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the trick.
And so I guess then, moving on to this point, as you're talking about, there are times when you might need to sign a personal guarantee. So if you do indeed need to sign a personal guarantee, what are things that businesses should be mindful for before they're signing it?
Yeah. So firstly, what are you guaranteeing? Okay, make sure you know. And is it limited liability or not? So what you want to know is, what are you up for? Okay. Is it things you can control or not? Okay. It's fine to sign a guarantee if you know you can force the performance to happen. Okay. Or maybe the risk is an appropriate risk of non-performance that you should have. Okay. So business paying rent, you can kind of understand that you said you'd pay the rent. Okay. That makes sense. But some risks aren't appropriate for you to have, or it should be limited to an amount in certain circumstances. So it's really it's really assessing that and saying, okay, what am I up for? Is it fair? Is it reasonable? Okay. Can I control it, or are the risks mine?
Absolutely. And I think it's also useful to consider, how do I end this guarantee? Is there a mechanism for me to terminate the guarantee? Because sometimes there will be, ultimately there will be on termination of the contract generally, but it's really important to understand what that termination point is.
Exactly. Or what's the process? So I recently had a business sale whereby obviously we needed to take out the guarantees that were there for the current directors and put the new directors in. So they had to change. And that can be a big bump in the road and a business sale process that now the current directors have got to come in and give a guarantee. Maybe they didn't want to. So it's one of those things whereby you need to put it in the context of what you're doing and at the time that you're doing it. So guarantee may be perfect when you enter into a lease with a new landlord on day one. When you've been there 10 years later and you're finally renegotiating a new lease, do you really need it? You've been paying your rent for 10 years. Do they really need the guarantee or not? Ask the question.
Yeah. Keep on top of it and regularly review, I guess is what you're saying, which is a really good point, And so we've ascertained that there is a guarantee. We've tried to push back, or we've decided that it's fair and reasonable. We've worked out what the guarantee says. We've decided we've worked out a way to review it regularly. I guess, what are some of the other elements that we should be considering here? I guess one of them is probably making sure we have a record somewhere so we know what we've actually signed that has got personal guarantees, because this one, I kid you not, is almost never, ever done. What do you reckon, Fiona? How many times do you see this done well?
Correct. And that's the thing. Are there any guarantees in the business? Let me think. And then Then there's the dials turning, and then there's the process, and then there's, and there's the things that you know there may be. So you ask the relevant questions, right? What about the lease? Yes, no. Do you have a hire purchase of any equipment? You know, sometimes they've got a big piece of kit. Got anything on that? Oh, yes, there's that. And it's like, I don't know where that contract is.
Well, that's the next one, isn't it? I don't know where the contract is. Exactly. And I guess it's just all about, this is not just about personal guarantees that you should be orderly as the reason to be orderly with your contract, but it's definitely one of those areas where it absolutely helps so much. It's imperative that you know where these personal guarantees are sitting. And so, of course, if you're listening to this and you're 10 years through your business and you're now having a bit of a think to yourself, well, at least you're thinking about it now and can go back. You only need to go back in your mind 10 years now. Now's a good point for you to go and pull it all together and then put in place a system so that you know exactly where you're putting it. Because once you're at that 30-year point or, whatever, and you're up to that point of selling a business, we see the pain in our clients' eyes many times as we ask them this question.
I like to say to my clients, put it in the bottom drawer, don't lose it, and don't forget it's there. You need to keep it. You don't need to read it every day, but you need to keep it.
Yeah. Oh, look, they could go crazy and just throw together a little spreadsheet. But anyway, whatever,
yes.
Whatever your approach.
I do know someone who would do a spreadsheet.
I love a bit of a spreadsheet. Okay, all right, fabulous. So, look, I guess just running through our areas once again in dealing with personal guarantees, and I like the part of this title, Don't Set and Forget, because I think that's the point of where we're going, right, Fiona?
Yeah.
So number one, read your contract and know what you're signing. I think that's the first thing, like understand if there's a personal guarantee in there. And if there is, don't assume that you have to sign it. So if you feel it's inappropriate for the situation, then don't feel that you can't push back on it or negotiate, find an alternative type of security. Third, know what the guarantee says and whether or not it's reasonable. Understand the terms of the guarantee and how they apply and how the guarantee can be ended or transferred. And finally, regularly review, don't set and forget. Have you got anything more to throw in there, Fiona?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, all right. We've got a really good plan for our listeners. And as we said, just if you're listening to this and now feeling a little bit concerned, just set the time. We can actually help you. We have a number of methods, given it's an issue we have tackled many times in the past for our clients. We have a number of ways that we can dig in and help you find where some of those personal guarantees may be that you may have forgotten about. Although we're not magicians, we can't read your mind into everything, but we can help. So if you want a bit of a help with a trigger of an idea of where they might be, then feel free to pop over to aspectlegal.com.au and line up a time with Fiona or one of our other legal eagles to have a chat about personal guarantees in your business and where they might be and how you can deal with them now that they're there, and indeed getting help to put together a bit of a plan moving forward to how you can avoid this issue into the future. Well, Fiona, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been fabulous having you. Well, that's it for this episode of How to Deal with Personal Guarantees. Don't set and forget. If you'd like more information about this topic, then head over to our website at talkinglaw.com.au or aspectlegal.com.au, where you'll be able to book in a time with one of our lawyers at Aspect Legal if you'd like help with any of the items that we covered today. And finally, if you enjoyed what you heard today, then please pop over to Apple Podcasts or your favourite podcast player and leave us a review. We'd be ever so grateful. Well, look, thanks again for listening in. You've been listening to Talking Law, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. See you next time. Are you looking for a top quality legal team to assist you in your organisation? Aspect Legal is an innovative commercial legal practice that specialises in providing fast and professional services for their clients. If you'd like to chat about how we might be able to assist you, simply head over to our website at aspectlegal.com.au to book in a time for a free discussion with one of our lawyers.
Thanks for listening to Talking Law. Tune in next time for more smart legal tips and tricks to keep you clear of those legal landmines. If you want to get a download of today's show notes, head over to talkinglaw.com.au.
Are you looking for a top quality legal team to assist you in your organisation? Aspect Legal is an innovative commercial legal practice that specialises in providing fast and professional services for their clients. If you'd like to chat about how we might be able to assist you, simply head over to our website at aspectlegal.com.au to book in a time for a free discussion with one of our lawyers.